If you believe that the rapture of the church can happen at any second, does that make you a racist? Hello, I'm Ken Yates from Grace Evangelical Society, and I would like to discuss that issue with you for just a few minutes. The reason I thought it would make a good topic is because recently I was reading a book where that was one of the accusations. And let me explain how that came about, or how it happens that people will make that accusation. The argument goes like this. Pre-millennialists, those people who believe that Christ is going to return to set up his kingdom, and that the rapture of the church is going to happen 7 years before that, and it can happen at any second. They're often called dispensationalists as well, and dispensationalists believe that the kingdom of God is something that is entirely in the future, that Christ is going to return and set up his kingdom. And his coming is going to start, it's a 7-year period, with the rapture of the church. And after the rapture of the church, there's going to be a 7-year tribulation. Then the Lord is going to return with his church and set up his kingdom. This way of seeing things says that the kingdom of God is entirely in the future, and it is then that righteousness is going to be established on the earth. And that the church is waiting for that coming kingdom. And it's argued that if you take that view, a premillennial view, then what you're basically saying is you don't have to reform the culture in which you live in now. You're waiting for Christ to come. And therefore, it's an excuse for people to say, if people are being mistreated, or if there's inequities in our society, that's not something that we are called to change. In fact, we can't. The world is getting worse and worse and worse, and our only hope is the return of the Lord. A lot of people in Christendom say, no, the kingdom is now. The church is the kingdom. And the church is responsible for making things better here and now. Whereas the premillennialist, the person who is waiting for the rapture of the church and the return of the Lord, he can say, or she can say, no, there's no way we can change this world. This world is fallen, and we're just going to wait for the kingdom of God to come. I'll give you an example of how that worked. After the Civil War, the most famous Christian in our country was probably a man by the name of D.L. Moody. D.L. Moody was from the North, and he began a bunch of revivals. And after the Civil War, he wanted to work with Christians in the South, and he wanted Christians in the North to be united in preaching the gospel in these revivals. Well, when he would go down in the South, he would not speak about slavery, and he would not speak about the things that caused the Civil War. Instead, he just wanted to keep the status quo. He just wanted to get people saved because Christ could come back at any minute, and that was his goal. And so he could work with segregationists in the South and non-segregationists in the North, and they said, let's just not talk about it. Let's just keep the status quo, and let's not bring up these divisive issues. And there are those who said that the black church did not appreciate that, and therefore the black churches did not have much to do with D.L. Moody's revivals and his ministry as he would go around and preach the gospel. So is it true? Is premillennialism an excuse to be a racist, as some would say? That if I believe that I'm just waiting for the Lord to come back and I'm waiting for his kingdom, I don't need to be involved in these things. It would seem to me that the answer is pretty clear. Yes, certainly a racist could be a pre-millennialist, but the system itself is not racist. We can certainly teach that this world is getting worse and worse, and the only hope for righteousness is for the return of the Lord. When he comes back, He's going to rectify all these things. And we could say that it is not the place of the church to reform society. Now, of course, an individual believer, a premillennialist, can say, as I walk by the Spirit and as Christ is living through me, I'm going to treat people of other colors, of other backgrounds in a loving manner, particularly other believers. But it is not the church's role to correct past inequities. So I just want to say that the answer to the question is, if you believe in the rapture of the church and that the kingdom is entirely in the future, does that make you a racist? If you read that in a book, for example, or even if you hear it in a sermon or something like that, the answer is unequivocally no. If you've enjoyed this, I hope that you would press the like button and that you would press the subscribe button, and you'll get more of these videos. And remember, keep grace in focus.